As we continue on South Bay Sunday, I want to tell you about a walk that you're going to want to be part of, and we want to give you plenty of advance notice. Saturday, September 22nd at Plaza de Cesar Chavez, where we love to do our walks here in San Jose, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. The National Eating Disorders Organization walk, they're calling it the NEDA Walk, hosted by Cielo House and EDRC, the Eating Disorders Resource Center here in San Jose, the Silicon Valley, is going on. And a lot of people are behind it, people I care about, people I know about, and it's a cause we all care about, and that's the health of our young people. Here to talk to us from Cielo House is Sarah Leung. Welcome.
Thank you.
And Jamie Lopez. Welcome to you.
Thank you.
Two young women who work in this interest, and it makes me wonder, why do you feel close to this topic, eating disorders?
Okay. I am very passionate about it, as pretty much everyone has been in contact or knows someone that is suffering or has suffered from an eating disorder. It's very prevalent. The awareness is very low.
And that's because people keep it secret.
Yes, oftentimes they do.
Yeah, and we older people remember Karen Carpenter, who died that way. In fact, Karen Carpenter, the famous singer from the group The Carpenters, who had many hits before you were born.
Yes, they did.
And I met Karen Carpenter years ago, and that was my first thought when I saw her was, my gosh, she's thin, she doesn't look healthy.
Yes.
But how thin she is really none of my business, is it?
Well, the interesting thing about an eating disorder is that no one starts out wanting to develop an eating disorder. Many people think that they want to lose a couple of pounds, or they're unhappy with a certain part of their body, and so they start developing what can be healthy diet practices that very quickly can turn into a very serious eating disorder. So whether or not someone looks like they have an eating disorder or not, it's hard to tell, because people walking around now who may be dieting today may unfortunately have an eating disorder tomorrow or down the road.
Or have it and it's going to develop.
Exactly.
Well,
yeah.
That's the thing, as you're saying that. I'm thinking people are listening thinking, well, maybe someone I know, or I diet all the time, I'm gaining and losing the same 7 pounds. Do I have an eating disorder? How do I know?
Yeah, it's a combination of personality traits, unfortunately miseducation, misinformation about food and about how food works in a person's body. The way I describe it is that genetics loads the gun and environment pulls the trigger. So you can have a genetic predisposition for an addictive personality or obsessive compulsive behaviors, and paired that with certain dietary practices and conceptions of how someone should look, and it's very easy to develop an eating disorder. And that's why over 10 million women and 1 million men in America have either anorexia, bulimia, or binge eating disorder.
How does that manifest itself? If I have binge eating disorder or anorexia, how does that look?
It's hard to tell. Like she said, you cannot tell by looking at a person if they have an eating disorder. There's some characteristics to look for, and for each diagnosis, there are different things. Social isolation is a huge thing. A lot of people withdraw from friends, family, kind of avoid eating out and things like that, eat in private. There are certain things that will develop on a person's body to look for, things like some extra hair over the body to keep themselves. Their body will compensate to keep themselves warm because they tend to be a little colder.
Because they're not eating.
Right.
And they're thin. No body fat.
Right. Yeah, if you tend to, be around a person on a daily, weekly basis, and all of a sudden you notice a dramatic weight loss, if you notice they're suddenly preoccupied with their weight, with food, calories, counting, how many grams of fat are in a particular food, those are definitely warning signs to look for.
You mentioned environment, and that's interesting because the environment around us all is people talking about their weight.
Exactly.
And their dieting.
Yeah. And it really does start, unfortunately, with very innocent and well-meaning intentions of, if they aren't necessarily happy with their, weight loss or with their weight, it's not something that they're looking to obviously develop an eating disorder, but just to get healthy. And so that's why knowing, talking to a dietitian, talking to a doctor about healthy ways to maintain a healthy weight level are important, rather than listening to media and magazines that are telling everyone how to lose 10 pounds in a week.
You read a lot in the blogs, and just the other day it came up. Little Gabby Douglas, the
Yes.
Olympic gymnast who looks so great, and she said she treated herself to an Egg McMuffin, after she won, the gold. And that was a cool thing. But she was on Jay Leno, with the First Lady. And the First Lady teased her and said, no, you shouldn't do that. Is that a dicey thing to do?
Did read that as well. We like to say everything is fine in moderation. I'm sure she trains harder. There are certain things that she needs to do that, the normal everyday person doesn't need to do.
I wouldn't begrudge anybody an Egg McMuffin.
No, absolutely not.
Win a gold medal, get an Egg McMuffin. Yeah. It seems like a nice thing, really.
Yeah.
But that kind of focus is what you're talking about, really. That's the environment you're talking about.
Exactly. Yeah, just kind of nitpicking every, little thing that someone puts into their mouth. It's very easy to develop, good foods and bad food lists. And at Cielo House and at EDRC, we promote everything in moderation, and that's exactly what help someone understand how to have a healthy relationship with food.
Yeah, that's the thing, because I would think I need to lose weight, food is bad. And that's not true, because we need our food for fuel.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like any other addiction. It's not like any other condition, I guess you could say.
Exactly.
Right. And I'm glad you touched on that. A lot of people will compare, substance abuse and eating disorders and different types of things. Substance abuse, you don't have to have that item, alcohol or drugs. Food you have to have, and so you have to face that every single day. And that brings me to making a point that it's not just about the food. It's very much mental. It's important that people with eating disorders also get therapy for it, because they need to learn a lot of different tools and such to help them get through the nutrition part.
That's Jamie Lopez, and she's here with Sierra Leone from Cielo House. And before we started this conversation, you mentioned something about therapy. Do you both participate in groups with people who are dealing with this condition?
We don't participate in the actual group therapies. The therapists will run those groups.
Mm-hmm.
However, Sarah does some nutrition counseling with the clients.
Okay, well, that's a participation.
Well, yeah, at Cielo House and with any eating disorder treatment program, they should have several therapists and dietitians, as well as perhaps a psychiatrist and a medical doctor following every client that they have in their program. The important role of each individual is such that we understand that eating disorders are a complex issue, and you can't just tackle it with nutrition education. You have to understand the underlying causes of an eating disorder, which are 100% mental. And to know that you have a therapist and a dietitian and everyone's on board that specializes in eating disorders, you're much, much more likely to be successful in treating the eating disorder, because you can get to the root cause of where it all started, whether it was familial issues or any sort of traumatic event that may have happened in a person's life.
So if I have an eating disorder, am I, let's say, generally speaking, reluctant to talk to people about it? And so if I'm in a comfortable place, I'm more likely to share and learn?
Exactly, yeah. There's a lot of stigma attached to having an eating disorder, knowing that you may not be supported by your family members and friends if paying such attention to your body weight is seen as a good thing. You need a safe place to talk about if there's anything that's happened in your life that you want to talk about that maybe has to do with your family, and so they're not a safe place to turn to. We offer as much support as the person needs, whether they're in a place where they want to talk about their disorder or they want to talk about their past. We just, meet them where they're at.
We're talking about a walk called the NEDA Walk, NEDA Walk, I guess. I'm not sure how you're saying it.
Yep, you're saying it correctly.
Okay. And the walk is set for Saturday, September 22nd at Plaza de Cesar Chavez, and we're proud to be hosting part of it and sponsoring part of it as well. It is hosted by Cielo House, and we don't know anything about Cielo House around here. You're newcomers to our little studio, and we're glad you're here. So tell us about Cielo House.
Well, thank you so much for having us, and also thank you to Lisa for being our MC on the day of the event. We're super excited to have her there. Cielo House was started by Matt Keck in early 2010. We have 2 locations, one in Belmont and a second location right here in San Jose. We offer comprehensive eating disorder treatment options. They're either half day or full day, depending on whether the client is working or going to school or has a family, children to take care of. And we offer meal support. So as the dietitian, I will supervise meals based on a meal plan that is appropriate for if they need to maintain their weight, if they need to gain weight. And at the same time, it's paired with group therapy sessions, individual therapy sessions to address any mental underlying issues that may be going on as well.
Pretty comprehensive.
It's very comprehensive.
You know, I was just thinking as you said that, dietitians are the ones who know what we're supposed to eat, and the rest of us are pretty darn ignorant. You know, we think maybe if we cut out the fries, that'll be good enough, or we have no clue what we should be doing to lose weight, to gain weight. That's almost a mystery in America.
Well, it's actually much more simple than people think. You know, it's about moderation. It's about understanding how food works in your body, and we tailor our meal plans to each individual client's needs. So, and no one way of eating, you know, works for everyone.
And we've had Eating Disorders Resource Center in here many times. They have wonderful groups every weeknight almost.
Yes.
And that's a great thing, and I'm sure that you take advantage of some of that through your linkage with them. I understand you've got a special guest for this walk.
We do.
We have Tracy Gold, and some of you might remember her from Growing Pains, a hit show. I believe it was in the late 80s, early 90s.
Tracy Gold from Growing Pains, an unintentional pun when we're talking about eating disorders.
She also had a show recently on Lifetime called Starving Secrets, where she profiled several people with eating disorders, and being that she had recovered from one herself, she kind of has an inside view on how it feels and what they go through and such. So it was a really good show.
Yeah, and it's a great thing to have her there, too. It'll draw more people. But why are you trying to draw more people? What's the importance of this particular walk?
Well, as I said, it's a very complex issue. It's more than just simply not eating. So for us to raise awareness about all of the different kinds of eating disorders that are out there, and to have a real-life celebrity there to talk about what her experience was going through that, especially under the light of, you know, being on a hit TV show at the same time. It really shows you that it's not one person, one age, one race, one gender. It's everyone. Anyone that you see walking down the street could have an eating disorder, and we want to raise awareness about how to get treatment, what warning signs to look for, and all of that.
So it's good to look at someone like Tracy Gold, who has been a celebrity and does some great things on TV, and say, I'm not alone, and I shouldn't be ashamed of what I'm going through.
Exactly.
Is there a lot of shame involved with this?
Absolutely. Shame is probably one of the number one, maybe not personality traits, but reactions to having an eating disorder, because it's not something people have a lot of awareness about. And if there was more awareness, shame wouldn't necessarily be a part of the picture, because they could go to their nearest loved one and ask for support and know where to go to get it.
So in order to promote what you're doing, we need to have people come out and sort of overcome that shyness, or whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
Who do you expect to turn out? Are you expecting some surprises?
Surprises are wonderful. We would love to have a big show from the community. We will have several professionals there and other facilities, some massage therapists and bands and such, but we are reaching out to the community. We do want the awareness to grow. We have several stations and things set up so that everyone that does attend can learn something from this event.
Tell us what's going on that day, September 22nd, when you do the NEDA Walk, hosted by Cielo House at Plaza de Cesar Chavez.
Well, I would like to touch on the fact that it is called a NEDA Walk. However, it will be one short lap around the park. It's more of a symbolic walk than an actual walk, so I don't want people to expect, a 5K or something of that sort.
That's good news.
Yes. It's definitely more of an awareness event. We will have live music there and some face painting, some balloon making, some informational booths set up, a massage therapist, some speakers. As I said, Tracy Gold will be there.
And then actually during the walk, we have several tables set up for people to go and learn more information about some of the underlying issues contributing to having an eating disorder. There's a table on nutrition education. There's a table on awareness. There's a table on acceptance. And so there's lots of different places where family members, community members, individuals can go to learn more information and just increase, like Jamie said, increase the awareness.
What do you think the biggest thing I might learn at a walk like this is that I don't already know?
Well, if you or are an individual suffering from an eating disorder, the biggest thing to know is that you're not alone, that there are resources available to you. Most of our sponsors are local treatment, either professionals or programs like Cielo House. If you were someone without an eating disorder and never had a thought about it in the world, it would be more of a place to gain a general awareness of the eating disorder, of what an eating disorder is, where someone might go in case you do know someone or have a family member that is suffering.
So it's a non-threatening way for me to maybe get information if I'm a little shy about coming out
Absolutely.
with that eating disorder.
Yeah, we're going to have, I think it's going to be called a commitment tree. I don't know specifically, but it's going to be a place for anyone, an individual or a family member, to write a commitment, write a pledge, make some sort of promise to themselves to be healthy, to have good wellness in their life, and hang it up and let people see how many good thoughts are in the air.
Or you can just show up, listen, and learn, huh?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
The NEDA Walk, it's sponsored, hosted by Cielo House and EDRC. Our good friends at the Eating Disorders Resource Center, our good friend Lisa, will be emceeing the event at Plaza de Cesar Chavez from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. on Saturday, September 22nd. And we can find out about it where?
If you go to www.sjnedawalk.org, you can donate money, you can start your own team, you can choose to support an individual if you happen to know one. So that's SJ for San Jose, sjnedawalk.org.
Well, thank you both for coming in. Best of luck with the walk.
Thank you so much,
for having
Sam.
us.
There you have it, South Bay Sunday for another week. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm Sam Van Zandt. Have a great week, and we will see you next Sunday morning here on South Bay Sunday.